We didn't even consider the playoff spot being an opportunity for ROC. We thought the bottom four were fighting to stay out of relegation, but things have changed so quickly.
What did we get from Misfits? And it's absolute dominance. He's going to go right back down as Hansama goes on a rampage. Mizuchachi's still up, still alive. Shockwave goes in, it goes wide. That's massive. Unicorns, they're coming in. They're going strong.
Origin yet to win a series this split so far. Things are looking pretty bleak for them.
European LCS. We are closing in on the conclusion of the regular split and battles are raging throughout the league. There's one more playoff spot up for grabs, the struggle for seeding, and the brawl at the bottom to stay out of the one promotion spot remaining. Yarn is there setting up a very important series on the horizon for ROC today as they will be taking on number 2 in Group A, Misfits, as we see Cacao always in amazing spirits, and the coach as well. Hello, everyone. I'm EpicSkillshot supporter, and joining me at the desk is James Stress O'Leary. Butterflies on the tie, flowers on the necklace. It's spring, baby.
It's spring. It's beautiful outside. Let's get some League of Legends on the go. I hope we got some beautiful games coming up today.
I agree. Now, with 6 days of competition remaining in the regular split, here is how the teams are stacking up. G2 is still undefeated. They beat Giants yesterday, 2-0. And now we have playoff spots for G2, H2K, Misfits, the Unicorns of Love, and most recently also Splyce locked in. That means there's only one left. And of course, at the bottom of Group B, Origin locked into the promotion tournament.
It's heating up everywhere. Group A, we're still trying to figure out who's in that race. There's a lot of movement that can happen, and today's results should give us a slightly clearer picture.
Yeah, definitely. The promotion tournament spot is still open, the playoff spot and the save spot. It's all left to be decided. Well, yesterday at least we all got to bed pretty early after some quick 2-0s. First, Splyce, they made easy work of Vitality. And for me, we really wanted to see Splyce putting a statement down going into playoffs, locking in their playoff spot, and doing it in a convincing fashion, at least in Game 1.
It was exactly what Splyce needed. We needed to see Trashy and Wonder back on form, working together very well with Wonder on a carry, and that's exactly what we got in Game 1. The fastest game of the split. A good, clean win out of Splyce, and yes, Game 2 was messy, but it allowed us to see a little bit more of what we saw out of Splyce in the summer split, which was these compositions that play a little bit for the later game, where we've got the Cassidin with teleport, you can play on the side lane, and Splyce, they at least held themselves close enough and turned the game around in the end. And I think for Splyce, they'll be happy with it, maybe not ecstatic.
Did it worry you that second game or not?
No, because they didn't punish Senkux quite enough. They tried, but it didn't quite work out. And I think when you've got a Cassidin, there's always some hope left in the game.
All right, and they knew that as well. And in Group A, G2, they also had a 2-0. They took out the Giants, continuing their undefeated split and also locking in the #1 seed for playoffs. Well, that was a long time coming, and that was definitely also a statement series from the boys of G2, wasn't it?
Yeah, statement from G2. I mean, it's hard to underplay how good these guys are in the EU LCS. When we're playing domestically, G2 have looked unstoppable for well over a year now, and okay, they play a little slow and steady at times. Game 1 always looked comfortable. Game 2, they ended up having a comfortable lead. You can see it, 11,000 gold on your screen right now. And G2, they don't look in danger of anybody stopping them before the finals. And dare I say it, maybe even Spring Split champions for a 3rd split now in a row.
Oh, there we go. Well, we'll have to see what happens in the next couple of days, if anything can come close. And tonight we have 2 matches for you. Later, the Unicorns of Love will be looking to push their Group B lead even higher as they take on Origin in our second series of the day. So a Unicorns of Love in form. Could they take on G2?
Oh, that's always a good one, because best of 5 is Unicorns of Love.
Yeah.
I mean, we get to see, it depends, I think, on the seeding. I think if Unicorns end up either getting a bye or ending up against Fnatic, I mean, it's anyone's game in playoffs, right? But there's so much movement still to happen that I think it's all dependent on who they draw in the playoffs.
That it is, and in Group A, as said, so much left to be decided. And first up tonight is ROC, one of the oldest organizations in the EU LCS, are taking on the league debutants Misfits. And let's talk about expectation versus reality for ROC. We didn't expect high highs. And in the beginning of the split, that definitely didn't come out. But I've personally been impressed with their 4th series win. How do you think they've been playing?
Yeah, this is the best ROC we've seen in years. Honestly, the 4 back-to-back series wins that you're talking about were unexpected even halfway through the split. When we entered cross-group play, ROC had not won a series yet. They'd dropped to Giants already. And we were saying this is a lineup destined for the promotion tournament because they hadn't picked it up yet. I was kind of chastising Grabs during a game when he was talking in an interview about how they just need to keep doing more of the same. And it turns out that is what they needed to do, but not from this split. It was from previous splits, getting Betsy onto these Swain, the Vladimir, picks that can survive a lot longer in the fights. And then Hyanan has stepped up his form to where we've seen him playing before. And I think that was the key thing for Rocket is they seem to have just needed time for their players to find some form for themselves. But now they're starting to really take it to their opponents. And if I'm, Fnatic, I'm worried about my spot in playoffs right now.
Well, worried about your spot in playoffs, obviously. If Rocket win one more game, they would avoid promotion tournament at least and not be able to drop down to that. And then that other battle comes in sight. But to do that, they would have to beat or Misfits today or G2, and then depending on the other results. So let's start with this match today, Misfits. Fantastic team. They came straight out of Challenger. They are now in the upper echelon of the EU LCS. Have they overperformed to your expectations?
I think slightly. Ever so slightly. I expected more of a fight between Fnatic and Misfits for the 2nd spot in Group A. And I say that in praise of Misfits. We have a pedigree here in Europe of teams coming out of Challenger, whether it's Origin going to Worlds, that split where they came out of Challenger, G2 now being back-to-back champions. Misfits have done very well with the same philosophy that we've seen from Challenger teams, where it's stick with what we know, let's improve the support staff around it, let's look at the game on a bigger picture, just how Splyce improved in their 2nd split. And it's worked very, very well for them. Misfits, they already had the individual skill, and now they're showing the team play around it. They have been doing it for weeks.
They have been, and if we do zoom in on some of those individual players, I want to look at Faxi versus Alphari. The top lane, Alphari is someone that we expected to do well, and he has.
Yeah.
Faxi has really, really come into his own last couple of weeks, but Stress, if we ban out Gnar, do we still see the same influence?
Ooh, I unfortunately have to say no. I think Gnar is such a good pick for Faxi. He has played the Rumble as well. But I do think this matchup is closer than it was the first time around and than a lot of people would have given them credit for. I still heavily favor Misfits. I think Alphari has a well-rounded champion pool. That's something we haven't quite seen out of Faxi. We haven't seen Faxi perform on a lot of picks. But if Gnar is available and he's playing into Alphari with something like a Gnar into a Renekton, if Misfits let that through, I think Faxi can actually do well in this matchup. I don't know whether it's enough for Roccat to win, but I think it's a potential good area of the map for Roccat.
Well, that's a question, right? And I want to get down to the nitty-gritty because in my head also I think I'm kind of on the Roccat momentum train. I'm like, well, this is going to be a much closer match, and if they win it, they have their eyes on playoffs, but realistically, what can they do versus a Misfits on form?
I think a Misfits on form is a 2-0 Misfits. Misfits that maybe underestimate Roccat in a game, maybe they sneak that win that keeps them out of the promotion tournament, and it's a 2-1 for Misfits. I don't think Roccat will find a win against G2, so they have to come out today, get Betsy on Vlad or Swain. If they can get the Gnar for Faxi, I think that's the winning setup for Roccat here in one game. I don't think it's enough for a series.
For a series win, well, we will see if a rampaging Roccat can put a dent in Misfits' rise to glory as we get into Game 1 with our casters.